2 years ago, the NBA world was shaken with one of the most important moves in recent league's history. On July 7th, Kevin Durant signed with the Brooklyn Nets, joining Kyrie Irving and leaving the injury-ridden Golden State Warriors behind. With Steph Curry and Klay Thompson being injured, there were no hopes for the Warriors to get into the title picture last year. This season, Chef Curry has returned and is playing like a madman, setting record after record and carrying his team to the top each and every game the Dubs play. However, it is still a very difficult position for Golden State to be in, considering the fact that they basically have to rely on one superstar and young core. Right at the moment, the Warriors are sitting in 10th place in the Western Conference with chances to make it to the play-in tournament, but fans still have a lot of hopes prior to this year's playoffs. Today we'll analyze the chances of the Warriors to beat the first seed this season. Before we start the discussion, I'd like you to play sports analytics and try to predict what the results of this matchup would be. Also, I'd really like to hear your opinion, as I'm very curious what you, my dear subscribers, Golden State Warriors fans, and just passing by viewers, think about the Dubs' future. Now grab some snacks, get yourself comfortable, and enjoy this video. But before that, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that notification bell to get updates on our latest NBA content. Let's keep rolling. At the time I'm making this video, the first seed is shared by the Jazz and the Suns, so we'll try to predict what the outcomes of this matchup would be. I'll be honest with you, and I think there's no need to talk about the Suns versus the Dubs matchup, as I don't think that the current Dubs team is equipped enough, considering the absences of James Wiseman, to get the W over the Phoenix squad with the two last encounters between two endings in a blowout. I'd like to talk about a more interesting and closer-to-life matchup with the Utah Jazz, and I really think that the Warriors have a chance to get the upper hand in this one. We'll start with a very important thing, the lineups. Keep in mind that I'm talking about the best-case realistic scenario where every player would be healthy in this year's playoffs. Sadly, no James Wiseman and Klay Thompson, however. Now, let's take a look at the Warriors squad. Here's your starters. Point guard, Steph Curry. Shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins. Small forward, Kelly Oubre Jr. Power forward, Draymond Green. Center, Kevin Looney. Backup lineup, point guard, Jordan Poole. Shooting guard, Damian Lee. Small forward, Kent Bazemore. Power forward, Juan Toscana Anderson. And center, Eric Pascal. And your coach, Steve Kerr. Now, the Jazz starting five. Point guard, Mike Conley. Shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell. Small forward, Bojan Bogdanovic. Power forward, Royce O'Neal. Center, Rudy Gobert. The bench lineup, point guard, Jordan Clarkson. Shooting guard, Matt Thomas. Small forward, Joe Ingles. Power forward, George Niang. Center, Derek Favors. And coach, Quinn Snyder. We'll go one by one. Steph Curry versus Mike Conley. Judging by the previous encounters, Curry has won 3 out of the 5 times those two have faced off in the playoffs, where Stephen was significantly superior in every stat line except for steals, where he and Conley are tied with 1.7 steals on average. Both are tremendous three-point shooters and prominent playmakers. However, at any time of the day, I would take Curry on this one. It's 1-0 for the Dubs so far. Andrew Wiggins versus Donovan Mitchell. An interesting duel where it would be hard to see who's an absolute leader amongst the two. Wiggins is a very valuable defensive player who's capable of putting up numbers when his team relies on him, and D-Mitch is considered a prominent shooter and a decent basket driver. As fans say, a poor man's Dwayne Wade. Judging by the plus-minus ratio, Donovan brings 6.9 points more to his team than Wiggins, but who knows who could come on top amongst these two, as they have never shared a parquet yet. Considering the value Mitchell brings to his team and the success of the Jazz team this year, he takes this one home. So far, it's 1-1. Kelly Oubre Jr. versus Bojan Bogdanovic. An interesting duel where it would be hard to see who's an absolute leader amongst the two. Here we have two absolutely different players. One is more of a shooter, where the other one is a pretty good cutter and finisher. Both are capable of stepping up in the moments. Bojan is often called the best free agent signing in Jazz franchise history. Bogdanovic and Oubre have never met in the playoffs. However, in all the previous matches those two squared up, they almost went even with Bojan being superior in scoring and playmaking, while Oubre was better in steals, blocks, and rebounding. A tough one to judge, but considering how well Bogdanović fits the team's system and is a slightly better defensive player, I'd give it to the Jazz. So, it's 2-1. Draymond Green versus Royce O'Neal. Another interesting and not so obvious matchup is the battle of power forwards Green and O'Neal. The value of both is truly immeasurable by rough numbers. One is an offensive engine and defensive anchor with elite playmaking skills and prominent basketball IQ, who makes everyone around him much better, while O'Neal is a great glue defender locking up big names left and right and is a huge contributor to the Utah Jazz's success in the rankings this year. This one is not easy to decide, but I think that Green is unbelievably valuable to the Warriors and has much more playoff experience than Royce. Props to O'Neal, still 2-2. Eric Pascal versus Rudy Gobert. Man, the centers matchup would be much more fun to watch if only James Wiseman wasn't injured. However, we still get to see a great player like Pascal fighting with potential Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. This wouldn't be a tough one, and it's pretty obvious that Rudy would get the upper hand in this matchup. However, Eric Pascal might step up and bring a couple of 15-point-plus games in the heated warfare. 3-2 in favor of the Jazz. Now let's talk about the bench. We won't compare each and every player, and we'll take a glance at each team's lineup. The Golden State Warriors have a very promising and talented bench led by Jordan Poole, on the contrary to the veterans-filled squad of the Jazz. It's a tough one to decide, and I would give you, my viewers, the choice to decide on this one. It's still 3-2 in favor of Utah, but you still have the power to change the score. Let's continue. As for coaching, Quinn Snyder got a lot of props last year, having developed the best defensive scheme in the whole league, and it shows this season. Yet I still think that Steve Kerr is a coach who's capable to lead his team to the win, despite the last 2 seasons of tanking. I respect both Quinn and Kerr, and I really can't give you a clear winner in this one, so let's make it a draw. 4-3 in favor of the Jazz. The conclusion? The Warriors have chances to beat the Jazz in a long 7-game season, only if all the pieces would be working well together, and Steph Curry would average 30-plus points each game with someone like Oubre and Wiggins averaging 20-plus while trying to get their best on the defensive side. Simply put, the Dubs have a great offense while the Jazz are tough as nails on the defensive side, plus have decent offensive skills. As I've mentioned previously, James Wiseman's injury is a crucial factor that makes Golden State's chances lower than they should be. This season, those two teams have faced off twice already, and their score is even, while the third game will happen in a week at the time I'm making this video. You guys still have a chance to change the score by leaving the comment below with pointing out where I got the better man in the matchups wrong. What do you think is the advantage of the Warriors over the Jazz? Also, I'd like to know, what is your prediction for the Dubs' success this playoffs? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I'd be very glad to see your opinion. Stay tuned for more NBA videos, and once again, make sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.